Ladies, you're not the only one suffering from not having a father.
When we talk about fatherless households, a lot of times we try to scapegoat the effects of that to men, as if a father not raising his children doesn't affect all of the children regardless of their gender. The reason I bring that up, if I have not had a man to show me how to refine whatever version of manhood we subscribe to in my house, then you also have not seen a man interact with your mother and respect her feelings. You have not ever, if you subscribe to traditional patriarchy relationship, then you've never yielded to the authority of a man. You've never practiced trusting the leadership and authority of a man. So you are just as clumsy as me for different reasons, right?
Damn.
And then thing two, to just take with you, black men, if you hear, we need to start stepping into into the lives of these young boys.
Round of applause for this young man here, alright? Mr. Tripp. His name be on tonight conversations, and out of Ace, out of Mr. Let Go, or whoever be up there on the panel in terms of the fellas, he's the one that be the most level-headed. He's the one, he's the voice of reason for the fellas, for the men, and stuff like that. I've done videos on some of the things he have said in the past. I never really knew his name back then, but I'm fortunate enough to go on their platform and see who this man's name is. So shout out to Mr. Tripp. Y'all go ahead and follow him on Instagram and things of that nature. Follow tonight's conversations on Instagram and on those social media platforms as well. And they are a platform that is black owned, and they are they're the ones who are creating an outlet to have meaningful conversations concerning black relationships, concerning the dating pool for black men and black women. And it's things like this that we have to really be aware of, conversations that we really have to really be mindful of, and really, dissect these things and break them down and analyze them and critique them, so that we are able to be the best versions of ourselves, not only just for us, but for another person that we want to build a family with. And I truly value outlets and podcasts and, these type of arenas that are giving black people a space to talk about their issues, giving black people a space to go through a form of a therapeutic session with themselves in order for them to be the best complete versions of themselves. Because you don't see that often. How many platforms can you honestly name out here that's out here doing this type of work? I can only count about one or two. And what this man's saying is nothing but the truth. Because when you're dealing with the basis of black family households, it is very critical of the dynamic of the black male and female relation in the household, because the son has to know what it means to be a man. The son has to know what it means to give love and affection to a woman. He has to know what leadership looks like in the household, what provision looks like in the household on every scale, not just financially, but physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. If he cannot get these things, these layers of support from a male figure in the household, you have an issue. He cannot receive these type of things, these type of tools from his mother. Just can't happen. He has to have a male figure in his life in order for him to teach these things that he has to have in order for him to be a man. Same thing for the women. A woman has to know what a man in the household looks like in terms of how a man is supposed to cater to his woman, and in terms of loving her, being there for her, understanding her, having great conversations in a level of communication with her, knowing what it means to really have a certain passion for somebody, knowing what it means for a man to truly commit and be with a woman. Because if you do not get that type of environment or that example in the household, you're going to go out here thinking that love is not your thing, that you're not qualified for love because of where you came from, because of the relationship dynamic between your mother and father. And so you go out into this world thinking black men ain't this and black men ain't that, and all black men are as dogs, and you're not going to find relationships, and you're just going to be a rich auntie, and you're putting all these curses over yourself, all these negative convictions that you have made yourself believe that are not true. Don't get it twisted. They're not true. but you have made them true for yourself. You have created and molded your own reality to work against you than for you. And you sit there and you cry and you moan and you complain about how these men ain't getting it together in your life, but you created this for your life. This is the energy that you have continuously fed on an everyday basis. The same thing for the fellas. But see, we have to go all the way back to the root. We have to go back to the root of our trauma, the root of our, slip-ups and our shortcomings, and where is this really coming from? And this is what we call shadow work on yourself. Understanding why is it that you procrastinate a lot? Why is it that you self-sabotage? Why is it that when it comes to relationships and it gets too deep, you want to pull away? Why is it that when something's too good to be true, you always want to throw it in the trash can? Why is it that when somebody that you really talking to slips up in the minutest of details and tries to work it out with you, you don't want to do nothing, want to have nothing to do with her after that, or you want nothing to do with him after that? What was it? Was it your father mistreating your mother? Was it your mother mistreating your father? Was it, things of the level of arguing and verbal abuse, whatever the case is? You have to really get down to the root of these issues. And it could just be that deep. It could just be because you was raised up in a bad environment. You wasn't given the best of examples up close and personal, that you think relationships just isn't your thing. That's not something you want to participate in, because if that's what my mother had to go through, I don't want nothing to do with that. Or if you see your father, getting talked to a certain type of way by your mother, if that's what I gotta go through with a woman, I don't want no parts of that. It really goes all the way back to the core, to your childhood, to your upbringing. The same thing and vice versa. When it comes to the mother, for the ladies, you have to teach your children. A mother is supposed to teach their children what it means to cater to a man, what it means to talk to a man, to submit to the responsibility or to the leadership of a man. If you are showing to your daughters that you can nag your man, you can talk to him out of the side of your neck, you can have full-on arguments with the door open, y'all in the bedroom just having full-on debates and arguments and just putting all y'all dirty laundry out, not caring about what the children hear. Lord forbid you start putting hands on him and they watching out of the corner of the room, corner of the hallway, and they're taking all of this in. That's trauma. And when you see the suffering of your father and what he has to go through, and then vice versa, if you see the suffering of your mother and what she has to go through, that almost literally signs you out of ever wanting to be in a relationship, because of what you see up close and personal. And because you have made this belief that this is how relationships are supposed to be, when you have created this environment on social media and you're subscribing to certain social media platforms who are feeding you this energy that you have already created for yourself, and then you have people around you in your circle who can also confess and testify to this narrative that you have created for yourself, it doesn't get any better. Because now you have an echo chamber that is feeding this negative interpretation of life. That's just not how the game is supposed to be. There was a woman also on tonight's conversations, and she was talking about how her as an alpha woman, I don't even know what an alpha woman is, but I do understand where she's coming from. I wasn't trying to get too much into the semantics, but she was saying that, for her being a woman who is very outspoken, a woman who has a lot of compassion, a lot of energy, so she comes off very either intimidating or very, not necessarily aggressive, but very dominant, right? Just women that have that leadership power, you know what I'm saying? That warrior type power, that she has to know how to level herself and balance herself and really get into her feminine, her soft and gentle side with her man, and understand that when they have conversations and when they have arguments, that it's not on her man, it's on the situation, and they're supposed to fix the situation rather than for them to attack the man.
As an alpha woman, I had to be very intentional about being softer for my man and to my man. I had to remember that when problems arise or situations arise that I don't necessarily agree with or I'm not seeing eye to eye with, the situation is the problem, not my man. Right. So I'm very intentional about my words with him. I'm very intentional about how I handle him, because as much as I want to be handled with care and with love, so I handle him with care and with love. And I don't, it's been, baby, I think you know that I'm a very strong and boisterous woman, so it ain't always easy, you feel me?
I think it's...
Sometimes you gotta take a break to walk away for a second to get yourself together, because you know that the level you on right now is gonna get disrespectful. Sometimes you have to let me take myself back and let me go in the room for a second. Let me go for a walk, because I don't want to handle you in the way that I know I'm about to handle you right now. Yeah. Let me do the work for myself. So just be very intentional about how you talk to him. Be very intentional about it, and remember, before you talk to him in a manner, would you want to be spoken to that way?
And when I say this, I'm speaking for the ladies and for the fellas as well, all right? But please have a sense of compassion and consideration and forgiveness when it comes to people that you truly love. And I'm not telling you to give passes to red flags and cautions and people who continuously create a pattern of just being inconsiderate of what you value and what you need in relationships, and don't have people manipulate you into staying into something that just won't work. But at the same time, right, when you're with somebody that loves you and truly values you, and y'all are there for one another and y'all work and y'all click, there might be certain things that person will do, certain things that person may say, certain things that they may act out that might not be the best in the moment. And you have to give that person the space to grow, for y'all to forgive one another when y'all hurt one another, have these conversations, and learn how to communicate in the most healthy manner possible. You don't want to be in no toxic relationship for the long run. Toxic love, dysfunctional love is not the move. I be seeing tweets upon tweets about how, oh, I love toxic relationships. Oh, that's me, girl. Oh, that toxic relationship and that toxic love. We are sick. If you think toxic love is the move and that's something to key about, every relationship isn't perfect. I understand that. But of all things, we should be applauding and keying about having toxic relationships. If you don't know how to communicate with a man, learn how to communicate. If you don't know how to deal with the emotions of a woman, learn how to deal with the emotions of a woman. Don't just discard the emotions of a woman. For the ladies, don't just talk to your man any type of way outside of the side of your neck. If you can't talk to your man how you talk to your boss, if you can't treat your man how you treat your boss, you don't need to be with a man.
Years ago, I worked in a call center, and I had a female employee that reported to me, and just very kind to me, just like the type of person you want to help win. She comes to my office, she was like, "Boss, can I use your phone?" I was like, "Sure." She gets on the phone, and she's like, "What? I told you that. Why you did it?" And then hangs up. She was like, "Thanks, boss." And I was like, "Yeah." Now, this is somebody that was on my team for years, so I was like, "May I ask who you were speaking to?" She was like, "Oh, that was my husband." I said, "May I give you some feedback?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Please don't speak to me better than you speak to your husband."
Oh.
Uh-oh. I said what I said. If you can't give your man the same type of respect that you give your own father, you don't need to be with a man. For the fellas, if you can't give your lady the same respect as you give your own mother, you don't need to be with a woman. If you can't give your woman the same amount of respect as you give your other friends, as you give your boss and your manager and so on and so forth, you don't need to be with a woman. Because it makes no sense for you to give more respect, more consideration, more space to these people of when they apologize, when they slip up, and, "Oh, I'm just so sorry, and I shouldn't have came at you like that in the meeting. Oh, that's just quite all right, and that's okay." And big smiling and everything, and you go on about your day cheesing throughout the whole shift. You get back to your man or your woman or whatever the case is, they slip up one time, they say something you don't like one time, you want to go silent and give them the silent treatment for the whole week. That's sick. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you can give people that you don't even know, like the back of your hand, more respect than somebody that you are willing to create a family with, somebody that you are really in it with for the long run. It's beyond me. And so the more that we come to an understanding of these type of situations, the more that we can actually start promoting healthier dynamics, healthier, examples of relationships between black men and women. Remember that you create your own reality in terms of how you perceive black relations. So if you go out here and you think that black men ain't this and that you're never going to find the right man for you, what else can I tell you? If you're a man out here who believes that modern day women are running rampant and that it's going to be very hard for you to find a woman that you can hold it down with unless you get your passport, there ain't nothing else I can tell you at that point. Until you learn to create your own reality, until you learn to make that shift and then understand that what you're believing is a delusion. Until you come to that understanding, when you come to that revelation, you're going to keep living in your own misery. And misery sure as hell loves company. But that's all I got to say concerning the conversation at hand. Let me know how you feel about this respectfully in the comment section below. Before you go though, got this video for you to watch right here. You don't want to miss that one. Till next time. We out.
You have not ever, if you subscribe to traditional patriarchy relationship, then you've never yielded to the authority of a man. You've never practiced trusting the leadership and authority of a man. So you are just as clumsy as me for different reasons, right?